Welcome to
The Alejo Show.
Hey, welcome to the Alejo Show. Thank you very much for being here, for clicking on this video. Today we have a great episode and I'm gonna show you my first guest today. A person that is not my brother. He wishes he was my brother, but he's not my brother, but he's a person that I do care a lot about. Mauricio Lopez in the house. Mauricio, thank you very much for being on the show, man.
How are you, brother?
Brother. So people keep asking you, are you Alejo Lopez's brother? Because, you know, that gives you kind of status, you know.
Oh, whatever, man.
No, Mauricio
Whatever.
Lopez, I mean, we happen to be very close friends. And we share the same last name.
Right.
We haven't decided if we are blood related. I mean, we don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know. We know that our parents are from the same town.
They're from the same town.
Yeah,
exactly.
So somewhere a couple hundred years ago, maybe we are over there related.
Exactly.
Yes. Although, I don't know if you want to go there. Originals Loperas have hair. They're not bald.
Well, you know, boldness comes from mother's genes. So my
right.
mother is Gomez, so this is Gomez, a
Okay.
Gomez situation.
Yeah, that's it.
Mauro, thank you very much for being on the show. First time
pleasure,
here.
man.
I hope you can come
Pleasure.
many times. You were born in New York.
I was.
And then you moved to Colombia. How was that?
I was born in New Jersey.
New
which
Jersey.
is
All right. It's
next
another
door.
state.
Yes, right there. I mean, it's just crossing the river. I could see the Statue of Liberty from my town.
Oh, really?
Yes, I was born in New Jersey, and I was brought to Colombia when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so-
At that point, you didn't know anything about Spanish.
I spoke some English, in the street. I had some friends.
Of course.
And Spanish at home. My family was a typical family that lived in the U.S., my parents, and never learned to speak English.
No way. But are they American? No, they're not
they
American.
never became American. They were residents.
Okay.
They had that green card.
Colombians.
Colombian, all totally Colombian, 100% Colombian. And we lived in a very Colombian environment.
Okay.
So it was a lot of Colombian. The supermarket where we went to was
Colombians are
Colombian.
everywhere. So
Everywhere, everywhere. We even and let me tell you this is a funny story. I grew up in a very Catholic traditional family.
Sure.
So my parents would take me to mass,
All
regular
right.
mass on Sundays.
Every Sunday.
In Spanish. Over there in New Jersey, Patterson, New Jersey. I didn't tell you the name of the city where I was born. Patterson. So they will take me to mass, and that's I grew up going to mass. And then I realized later years when I was an adult that I didn't know how to pray in English.
Okay, really?
If I would go to an English mass, I will know what the priest will say, but I wouldn't know how to respond.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't know the Padre Nuestro in Inglés.
So you learned Padre Nuestro in English back in school, like
yeah,
we all did.
But
Wow.
in Spanish. And then, like I said, because I lived in a Spanish environment and religion was an important thing, and that was in Spanish. That I learned
That is
Spanish.
weird. But let me ask you
yeah.
something. When you were growing up there, those 5 years that you lived there,
Right.
what was the English environment like? Just school?
Just-
School was
just
taught in
school,
English. But
just-
what kind of school? You were like kindergarten, I guess.
Yeah, I remember went to kindergarten, the
Yeah.
daycare kind of thing.
Exactly. It was not a school, actually,
It
primary
was
school.
elementary school. When I got to Colombia, I went to elementary school.
Okay.
But it was like daycare kind of thing. And I remember distinctly my friends in the street were, African American.
Sure.
They were white American. And the communication was in English. Like I remember, and I have, little pictures, physical pictures.
Exactly.
From I don't know
Years
how many
ago.
years ago, that I'm with a whole bunch of kids.
Okay.
Like I say, African American, a whole bunch of kids with green eyes, and those were my friends. All obviously. I don't
and their
remember.
names were Jonathan,
Yeah,
Michael, Jeremy,
Yeah.
these kind of things.
Exactly, those were my friends.
But then you came to Colombia,
Came to
and
Colombia, right.
did you live back over there?
I did. There was a year that I went back because my father noticed that I was forgetting my English.
Oh, really?
He brought me back to Colombia. I was 5 years old. Then, school. I went to elementary school in Colombia, and then he noticed that
They didn't teach English in elementary school.
well, back then, and I'm 40 years old, so I'm mid 80s. English wasn't.
English was not a priority in primary school.
Exactly, and if it were, it was not good. You know how it was back then. So he noticed that I was forgetting my English, so he took me back.
Okay.
I think it was in sixth grade. So I went in the sixth grade over there, and it was quite difficult for me because at that point my English was.
You kind of remember some words, but okay.
I could communicate. I understood,
But it was not.
But actually, to study math, science in school,
100% English.
no, it was exactly. That was a little tough, but I got through. When you're a teenager, you get through everything.
And you pick up things like this.
Like that, and then you get your friends, you socialize. I had a lot of Spanish Latin friends now at that point, and I did that for a year. I wanted to stay, but they said no, let's go back to Colombia.
Oh, really? So how long did you stay there?
He brought me back to Colombia.
Okay.
I stayed there for a year. I did a year.
Oh,
I
okay.
did sixth grade there.
Which is not enough to say like, okay, I came back to
Yes.
Colombia with my brain
Yes,
full of
it
English.
was English had been so at that point. It had
On and
always
off.
been there. I would watch TV in English, the little TV that we had in English back then. Again, music, of course, rock, which I always loved, and I understood, but it wasn't something close to me. Later in my life, when I was 19, I went back.
Okay.
And then I stayed for 10 years.
Okay.
Right, so that was my late teens, 19, and all my 20s.
And at that point, your English was like this, like on and off.
Exactly. I could communicate.
But you made mistakes like a Latin person.
Exactly. I was confident. I was like, I could communicate. And I did study a little bit during my teenage years here in Colombia.
Okay.
But when I went back, I was confident, but I wasn't really, like a kind of native American. No, I could communicate. But then obviously after 6 months, a year there, already immersed in the culture.
Did anybody know in your school that you were American? I mean, when you were, for example, an English class, somebody bullied you, say like, he's American, he should be expert in English.
It was funny because I remember, I don't know if you're in your school here in Colombia, it was until 9th grade English and then French. I don't know if you just actually...
I didn't get French.
You didn't get French.
No.
I studied French in 10,
really?
in 10 and 11.
And do you remember any French?
Very little.
I know Zinedine Zidane and croissant. That's the only thing I know in French. I know Benzema.
Deja vu, yeah.
That's
the
only
English words in French.
Exactly.
I studied French, so during when the teachers knew that I knew English, so they always either took me out of class.
Or you taught the class.
Or I helped them out.
Yeah,
because
the
sometimes, I corrected them.
Okay.
Or I would speak and then I would speak, fluently or whatever, say something correctly, and they would be like,
yeah, which
yes.
That is probably the
correct.
biggest nightmare an English teacher could have. Like they have a native speaker in the classroom or a person that was born in America. Like, oh my God, this guy probably knows more than I do. So that's the thing.
So my English teacher was my same French teacher when I went from 9th to 10th. So he was relieved when I went into 10th grade because now he had me because I didn't know anything of French and I was in zeros. Now you don't know anything.
It was his rules now.
Yeah, now he beat me up during those 2 years.
So you would say, because of your experience, that you are kind of native in both languages, because you've been living here in Colombia for a long time, speaking in Spanish, of course, and besides you're American, you have lived quite a time in America, so that makes you.
Alejo,
I wouldn't use the word expert, but like you can handle both languages perfectly.
I guess I'm fortunate like that because of this back and forth and my parents' concern with my English, having always, don't forget your English, don't forget your English, it's a very important tool, don't forget it. So I've been fortunate. So I feel very comfortable in both languages to read, write, understand any accent in both, and I can switch from Spanish to English in a second. So
Which is difficult, right? I mean, for most of us, it's difficult
right.
to like on and off with English and Spanish.
Exactly. It's one of those things that I mean, when you speak for in English for a while and then you switch to Spanish, the English comes in and you say some words.
For example, you've done like translation, like at the same time with the person. Exactly. That is a tough thing.
It is.
I mean, I haven't done it, but it should be very difficult to do.
Yeah. Well, I've done. You have to study for that. It's a whole career.
Exactly.
You have a whole career. I've done not simultaneous because that is absolutely a skill where your brain has to be
like separate in two.
Exactly.
Actually,
You
one
have
is
to
listening
listen.
to in English, and then at the same time you translate it, but keep listening.
Speaking at the same time. So the person who is able to do that is hired by the ONU, by the UN, and is there with a great job. But I've done not simultaneous translation, but how do you call it? I forgot. When the person speaks, I translate it in my mind.
But the person stops speaking, waiting for you to translate.
Stop speaking, and then I translate.
Yeah,
that is another ball game.
Which is not easy anyway.
It's not easy either, but
it is more difficult the other one.
Exactly, it's easier than the other one. So yes, I know that as well.
Then you became a teacher,
right?
I guess because all the background, you say, okay, it's not the easiest way, but it's a way that I will enjoy. It will be easy for me to do. Right? You became a teacher.
I found teaching late in my life, and when I stood in the classroom, I still distinctly remember the topic I was teaching, the face of my students. I don't know if the same thing happened to you, Alejo, but I remember exactly the first time I stepped.
I mean, the first class?
The first class I taught.
Wow.
And I loved it. Do you remember your first class you taught?
I think I do, and it was horrible. I was teaching kids, and I didn't know what to do. It was complicated.
That one is a tough one, kids. No, this was an adult class, and I loved it. I found teaching late in my life because in my late 20s, like I told you, I was still in the States, and I hit kind of a wall, if you will, in the U.S. My family was back here in Colombia.
Okay, all your family.
All my
your
family
sister
was
and
my
everybody.
sister. My father had passed away years ago. My mom was here, and my sister has been also an English teacher for a long time.
She had the same story, right? Like back and forth with English and Spanish, and living there.
Exactly. When my parents left back in the 60s to the U.S. In 1971, actually.
Wow.
They left. My sister was 2 years old, so she was born here, and then she actually grew up there. So she did go through elementary, high school, the whole thing there. And I was born late.
There, but
Yes,
you lived here.
Exactly, but then I was brought back here. So we live opposite stories, right? She was brought up there, and I was kind of brought up here most of my life. So she became an English teacher, and she had been a very prestigious person in the city, held in important
She's
positions.
very good.
Yeah, you know her, and so in that time, like I said, back in my late 20s, I was getting to a little kind of depression in the States. I was kind of like, I don't know what am I doing here, lost kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, all right, what am I gonna do with my life? So she said, why don't you come to Colombia and try teaching English?
All right, okay.
And I'm like, what?
You haven't studied anything to become a teacher?
I hadn't studied teaching. I had studied different things, but not teaching.
All right.
I'm like, what? I don't, really? And I said, yeah, I help you. I'll come, I help you. I have all my contacts. I've worked in a lot of university institutions in the city.
Teaching was not in the picture for you.
It's not at all. That was not at all. So I remember I got here. I can't even tell you the date. I got here on December 1st, 2007. And she gave me a pile of books. She was like, study.
Okay, if you want to be a teacher,
read
this.
Aren't you gonna help me? I'm helping you.
So you can become like an engineer. Just read these books.
Just read these books on engineer, and you'll become an engineer. No, so she did gave me a whole bunch of grammar books.
Oh, okay.
And she said this.
Which is logical. I mean, you lived there, but you had no idea what is the past perfect, what the past perfect was.
Exactly. And she said it exactly what you just said. She said it this way: you know the language, but you don't know about the language.
Okay.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And she said, what is the present perfect? I'm like, what?
You had no idea.
The present perfect, what? Yeah, what is an auxiliary? I had no idea.
Of course.
So-
Even though you had English class,
exactly, like
you know, like a regular
well,
class.
yeah, that had been years ago, and I was like, no, I mean, I had so much. No,
But
shouldn't
not
say-
precisely that.
Exactly. You need to learn that because you're gonna be teaching that, and the student's gonna be asking you what is that you need to know about the language. Not only the language, you know it. And I always give this example to students or to colleagues. Would you be able to teach Spanish? Spanish is your native language. Would you be able to teach it? So I sat down for I remember the whole Christmas season and studied
And you studied it.
grammar.
Okay.
Remember the Beatty A's our grammar book?
Of
Yeah,
course.
the Bible
Grammar
of the
in use.
grammar in use.
Grammar in
I
use.
learned that from from
the
page
the
1
blue
to
one, which is very good,
page
actually.
999.
Mauro, one of the
Nice.
reasons we wanted you to be here is that many students have asked many times, first of all, what is B1, A1, A2? Because, you know, all the time we've heard people saying like, I know a little bit of English.
Right.
Or I can have a
Right.
conversation in Italian, for example.
Right.
So the first thing I want you to do is that clarify that for everybody. Like, what is A1, A2?
Right.
What is that frame?
Right.
So we can go into business with the C1 and C2 level.
Right. It's very interesting because nowadays every company in the city and around the globe is getting extremely popular and very useful. Is using that language. Okay, what level are you? Are you an A1, an A2, or you go apply for a job and you see the requirements? You need to have a B2 level.
Exactly.
Or to graduate from the university, you need to get a B2, B1 level.
And because we're teachers, we kind of know that and say like, yeah, that's very basic, but not everybody knows.
Exactly. So that is the thing that we teachers, like you said, are familiar with, and we know what that is. But most of the people say, oh yeah, but B2, but what is that? All right. So basically, the CEFR is called the Common European Framework of Reference. Is a framework, a scale that was created back in 2000, I want to say 2008 maybe, or even before, where the European Council created a common language to describe the level of English of a person. Not English, I am so sorry. It's not only for
All
English.
languages. All languages.
Most languages.
So I can say I am A1 in
Spanish
in
or
Italian
exactly.
or whatever.
For languages, okay? Obviously, English being, the lingua franca, the most popular language around the globe right now, obviously is more focused on English, but it can be used for any language. So what that is I can say, well, your level of English is intermediate, all right? And then you go in and speak, and it's not. So what the Common European Framework gives us is an objective way to determine your level of English in terms of the 4 skills of the language.
Now, at this point, maybe people who are watching this say, like, I don't know what my level is. There are many tutorials and many free samples of web pages that people can go through, have a little test, and they will give you approximately you could be B1.
All these proficiency exams or placement exams that we call are aligned with the Common European Framework.
All right.
Okay. So they usually give, a number. Oh, your result is 120, but that 120 is B2. All right.
All right. Okay.
They always place you. They have to place you because it has become very popular and useful around the globe. That all these proficiency exams or little exams that you take online to determine your level tell you where you are.
And before that, and I'm gonna say that in Spanish so everybody could understand. Before that, people say like, yo me defiendo en inglés. Yo sé un poquito, but what is poquito?
Right.
Poquito is like saying hello and goodbye, or can you have like a complex conversation?
That was the thing. That poquito was very subjective.
Exactly.
All right, so you didn't know what poquito was, or
exactly.
Entiendo todo, pero no hablo nada. Okay, so
which is very common.
Yeah, all those things. Or I don't know if you remember that back in the day, people in the resumes, in their CVs, used to put a percentage. You remember
Oh, okay.
that?
Like I know 70% of English.
70% of English.
Or 35%.
And what is 70% of English in terms of what? The speaking.
I guess
Yes.
people say like 0 is nothing and 100 is like super advanced.
It's super advanced, so they gave a number.
But the thing is that people didn't know what percentage they were because, for example, they say like I can have a conversation in the present. I cannot go to the past because I don't remember the verbs.
Right.
So what am I there?
Right.
50%?
Exactly.
35%? Anyhow.
Very subjective.
Let's go over very quickly because we are not going to get into each one of them. But for example, A1 will be like the first stage for a person that can have like just the basic conversation. Who am I? Where do I live?
Absolutely correct. So as you know, they are divided into 6 steps. But at the same time, those 6 steps are divided into three kind of big steps. So the A's are what is called a basic use of the language. Okay. And then, like you said, we probably won't get into it because it will be here for hours. But those A and then A1 and A2 are described what you can do with the language in terms of the 4 skills. What you can say in terms of speaking, of course. What you can understand, what you can write, and what you can read. So that first A1 and A2 is the basic. Basic at the same time established the basis of
exactly
the
like simple present,
exactly in terms
simple
of
past,
tenses,
exactly.
in terms of tenses, in terms
like
of
I can describe myself, describe the people, describe situations.
Talking about you in first person and talking about a person you know in second person. So yeah, there's a lot of descriptions.
Yes, as you say, the base of the language.
But the A's or the A1 and the A2, what it does is put the basis for you to stand in the language, all right, to be able to communicate at a basic level. That's why it's called the basic use.
A person that finishes A2 is a person that actually can communicate very good. I mean, they can be taken to America and left there, and you know they can ask for help. They can say, I don't know where I am. You know, I need this, I need that. I can talk about I was yesterday. This and that.
I guess would you call that in more colloquial words, maybe a survival kind of thing, like
a very good survival.
You can get around.
A2.
Exactly. You can get around. Sure. Live and ask for, like you said, directions. Go to a supermarket.
Because you know, people keep asking me like, if I want to go to America and not die with the language, would you consider A2 as a good step? And I say, yeah, if you finished A2, you will be able to go to any country in the world, and at least you wouldn't be lost.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So
let's go to the B's. Let's go to the B's. B's is a little bit more like, okay, welcome. Welcome to real life.
Bring it on. Independent user. The B's is an independent user. Now,
what do you mean by independent user?
Independent user is a person that not only can get around and survive, but can actually work, have a job, communicate
in a higher level.
Let's say if you're gonna work, I don't know, in a bakery. You know, you're a baker, so you would know how to, attend clients or explain what you're doing. Okay, giving your opinion. The opinion is very important. An independent user is able to express feelings and opinions and thoughts.
Okay,
that makes it independent. You don't depend so much in some basic structures to kind of get around and survive, but an independent user is able to just on that key point, give your opinion and express the feeling.
What would be the main difference between B1 and B2 for you? Like B1, is like the beginning of being independent, but B2 is now like, all right, I can easily speak English. I can say I know English.
Right. Alejo, I think that's the point right there. The B2 level is the comfort level, all right, where you feel like, okay, I mean, I can't. Let's, whatever.
Let's do whatever you want to do.
Speak. You are at a comfort level and you can communicate.
Of course, you don't know all the language.
Exactly.
I mean, nobody does. But at least you're able to say, like, what did you just say? I can't understand what you said. What is that expression about?
Comfort, confidence, and the B2 level gives you that comfort.
Okay.
You're right there. You're totally independent. You don't depend on a translator or on please speak slow. You feel
Okay.
like you're independent.
I have an appreciation about that. I don't know if you
Tell
would
me.
share with me.
Please.
When you go to B2 and you are in B2 level, the most important thing for me as a student is that you understand metaphors. Like,
All right.
for example, if somebody says,
All right.
"Oh my God, I will kill for that,"
Exactly.
and you say, and you know specifically he's not gonna kill anybody
Right.
physically,
Right.
but he desires
Right.
or she desires something.
Yes.
Then when you understand metaphors, then you say like, okay, you're getting the language.
That is a very good point, and you're right, and that is kind of the jump between the B2 and the C's, which I'm
Okay.
sure we're gonna get there. But when you start understanding those type of things, oh, it's chilling here, all right? So what do you mean it's chilling here? Yeah, close the window, man, or turn off the AC because it's quite cold.
Oh, okay,
Right,
okay.
those type of things. When you start understanding that thing, you are a breakthrough.
And that is a great
B2.
example because a B1 beginner, if somebody says that, they would
be
not,
like, exactly.
they would not understand.
they would
They would need, hey,
Yes.
you know, I'm very cold.
very-
Could you
It depends.
close
more,
the window?
Exactly. They depend more on specifics, on
okay.
things like that. But
The regular,
regular
conversations.
schedule. But when it becomes type of things that you said, is a very independent B2 user of the language. Absolutely.
Okay, and where would you put the idioms and phrasal verbs and all those things that
Right.
people are always complaining about when they're learning English, and they say like, this is the keystone for me and I cannot understand those.
I will definitely.
If I don't understand those, where am I?
I will definitely put that in the C level.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I will definitely.
If you master them, I mean, not master them because you cannot master them, but if
Right.
you understand at the gist of them at
Right,
least, like
right.
you you can catch.
Yes.
Oh, that is an idiom, which is the other thing. When people say an idiom, it's not that you understand all of them, but you know. Oh, okay, he's
Alright,
using a
exact-
reference.
Yes, exactly. But that definitely is the leap between the B2 and the C1. Was that when you get to the C1, you start understanding certain things, which I'll tell you in a little bit. And idioms is one of them.
Okay.
That is the C1 level. You understand what raining cats and dogs mean.
Okay.
Where it means.
The big cheese.
Yes, pulling my leg.
Okay,
Whatever.
don't pull my leg.
Don't pull my leg. All right.
Yeah, that's a good one. Don't pull my leg. People normally who are not in that place, they will say
Yes.
like, I'm not even touching you.
Yes, pull your leg. What do you mean?
Exactly.
Pull your leg. Exactly. So yeah, that is idioms are definitely in the C1 level. You start learning them when you're a B2. You get
Exactly.
familiar with the most
Because of
common one.
conversations,
Exactly,
examples and
yes,
stuff.
Absolutely, you hear them, but you master them and you start using them when you are at a C1 level.
Let's go to the C's.
Fantastic.
Okay, so C is like the advanced real thing
Right,
in English.
right.
But there are
So
two, C1 and C2.
C1 and C2. The C's are called proficiency users of the
Okay.
language, all right? They are a proficiency user of the language. They can do it without any help. They can communicate. And there's certain things that defines the C levels between C1 and C2, all right? And they're very, very particular of the language. So the first one that you mentioned is idioms, all right? Understanding idioms, understanding sarcasm.
I have a big bag of phrasal verbs that I can use and master them, and not only turn on, turn off.
Exactly. Now they wake up. No, I mean it's like a lot of phrasal verbs that you can use in a very versatile way, like in any conversation. All right, put them in your speech, or you read them, or you hear them, and there shouldn't be a problem. Okay. So a C1 understands complex texts. All right. You think about reading.
Nathaniel Hawthorne,
Yes, I mean
The Lord of the Rings,
poetry. Yeah, Tolkien.
Shakespeare.
Right. The C1, C2 level understand complex texts. That is what a C1 can do. A C1 can also summarize very well. Okay. So when we talk about translating, summarize, if I'm translating something, I can understand what the person said, I can repeat it.
So a B1 person would not be able to do that
We'll have
as well
exactly.
as
We'll have difficulties, we'll have to write, we'll have more difficulties.
ask the person to stop so I can translate in my head.
Wait. Two sentences
Exactly.
and then say them again. But a person that can summarize is a C level.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
A person that can conduct a meeting. All right.
Okay.
A person
I have
that
a
is-
group of
I
people,
have a group of
and I can
Exactly.
give instructions and stuff.
A B2 can participate in a meeting, all right?
course.
And a B2, if you're confident,
Even a B1
exactly. If
would be
you're
able.
confident, exactly. Let's conduct a meeting. But a C1 can do it in a proficient way.
Okay.
All right. Can conduct a meeting. All right. Hesitation. All right. The word hesitation. Right. A C1 does not hesitate when communicating.
Oh, okay.
All right. Something. Okay. So that is also the
Because of the the range of vocabulary they have,
is
they can have a lot
higher.
of tools.
Fantastic.
So they will never be like, what's the word I can use there? No, they
Right.
have a lot of resources to get.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay. We already talked about idioms.
All right.
And expressions.
Let me ask you something because I have a lot of questions over there. First of all, would you consider there is a person that is maybe C1 in vocabulary and I don't know, reading,
Right.
writing, but their pronunciation of the production when they
Right.
speak is not C1 but B2,
Yeah.
even B1? I mean,
Yeah.
can we jump over there like from one and another?
Yeah, because the Common European Framework is described in terms of the skills.
All right.
The 4 skills of the language. Yes, I mean, in theory, you can be a B2 in speaking and a C1 in reading and writing.
But
let's
it,
say.
it doesn't jump too far. Like I'm a C1 in writing and I speak like A2. That is not. I mean, that is
that's
a
not the
big
gap.
jump.
Yeah, that is not the gap.
Okay.
The gap, it has to be, a level that is right next to
each other. All right.
But
Okay.
yes. Although, unfortunately, some places kind of cut underneath. I mean, if you're a B2 in speaking, then you're a B2, buddy. I mean, sometimes it's like that.
You cannot say like I'm a C1 writing, but
Right.
maybe if we
Yeah.
talk.
Yes.
Okay, I have another question. C2.
Oh, okay.
Because for example, I remember that I did an exercise on one of my videos on YouTube, and I this was like, okay, this is for you to kind of know where are you in terms of
Right.
listening, and I gave like a listening for A1, a listening for A2,
Okay.
and I told my students, if you understand, for example, B1, then you probably
More or
are
less
there.
a B1.
And I did it only until C1.
Okay.
And people kept asking me like, what happened to C2? What happened
Right.
to C2? My perception
Okay.
is C2 is kind of native people.
Yes, I guess.
Okay.
Yes, I guess.
I feel relieved when you said.
No,
I thought
no,
you were going
yes.
to say like, what are you
Well,
talking
you
about,
are.
Alejo? That's not correct. But
I love that video.
C2 is, a person
Right.
who was born in one of those countries and lived in one of those countries
Right.
and studied the language of one of those countries.
Right.
Because you can find a native person that is not C2 if
Absolutely
they take
true.
a test.
Right. That
And
is-
we've seen it.
That
We've
is
seen
that
it.
is true. That is very true too, Alejo. A person that is native speaker was born American, Michael Cooper, whatever, and goes and takes a test and he gets a B1. Okay?
Exactly.
Because of the level of education, right? So it
If I
doesn't
take
write-
if I take a Spanish test
yeah.
with tildes and
let's don't go there.
Yeah,
right?
let's not go down.
Let's
Yeah,
not go
let's
down
not
that
go.
road because yes, absolutely, that can happen. My opinion, right? My opinion for what I've seen, for what I've learned in my years of experience. I think the C2 has to do a lot as well with the cultural aspect of the language.
Oh, all right, okay,
Alright?
okay.
And-
No more grammar. I mean, maybe no more is not the correct word, but it doesn't mean
You don't need any
grammar stuff. It's more like I
exactly.
understand
Right.
the
Okay.
cultural
Yes,
things about language.
I can understand writing styles. Okay, so if I read an author, I don't know, like John Grisham or Dan Brown, whatever, like I understand. Oh, his style is romantic, or he's
Exactly.
sarcastic, right? And then you can go and produce a text, complex text, with almost no mistakes, right? It's like you said, you're spelling your tildes, you get a little concerned when you go there. And the C2 is that type of user,
All right.
So it has a lot to do with the cultural aspects of the language and being able to basically use the language without any mistakes, kind of thing, and clear pronunciation.
Probably you have had students here in Colombia, for example, or in any other place. People are watching this, Peru, Bolivia, wherever, and they studied English in their countries. They never go to any other country,
right?
And they go from A1, A2, B1, even B2,
right?
And they might also get C1 without traveling,
right?
Would you say that in order to get C2, you really have to live the experience of being in one of those countries for a period of time, or do you consider that there are possibilities for a person to be C2 by not living actually in America? I know the answer is yes, because if you study, of course. But let's talk like a regular person, not the nerd type of person that is, 8 hours reading. The normal person.
Exactly. Well, Alejo, there are a couple of aspects, a couple of things there. Reaching the C2 level in a Spanish-speaking country, is it possible?
Exactly.
I think it is possible.
Okay.
I think it is possible. I've seen it. Okay. I'm sure you have too. You people that, hey, where are you from? Are you from, Alaska?
Are you from Wales?
What? I've never been. I don't even have a passport.
Exactly.
We have that type of people, and it takes. I think there are two aspects. The first one, your attitude towards language. All right. If you love it, if you make it part of your life, it becomes totally familiar to you. Then you can get that level without a problem.
Okay.
And that right now, 2019, 2020, we have so much contact and influence with the language. I mean,
and we have internet.
We have internet. We have our TV shows. Netflix. You watch all your sitcoms in English, and so you have all that contact with the language. You don't have to be standing on Fifth Avenue in New York to be a C2. You can be here from your house,
but
and
you
get that level.
Really have to get into it.
Exactly.
I mean, you really have to study a lot. You can be B1, B2 because of your skills, your personal skills, because you've been brought to the language, whatever. But in order to get C2, you really have to,
need to really
sit down and work on it.
Make it part of your life. I mean, it's English. It doesn't matter if I live in Colombia or live in Bolivia, live in Peru, live in Mexico. But English is, I just switch there.
40 minutes after we started, let's go into business with the title.
It's been 40 minutes.
People keep asking me, I've studied English, I've taken some tests, and those tests, the results is that I am a B2 level.
That's right.
For any particular reason, maybe because I'm getting a job, or is whether a job or an opportunity to travel or whatever, I need to be C1. I mean, to certify that I'm a C1.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how many hours I study, how many hours I spend reading, taking courses, I cannot make that jump from B2 to C1 because it's super difficult and there's a big gap. It's not like, I can switch from A1, A2. B1 and B2, it's a very big jump to go over there. So, and that's why people came from. I hope you guys still there. How can I make that jump from B2 to C1 and really master C1?
I mean, it took us 40 minutes to get here, but but I think all these that we spoke in the past 40 minutes is very important to get to this point, because we're gonna recap some of those things that we said. And it was important to understand the Common European Framework and what you can do in each level, briefly. You said it. There is a big gap, between the B levels and the C levels. The constructed levels, the A1, the bases that you put there for your language, the A's and the B's, are easy to reach. You begin learning the language and you go like this. When you get to the C level, you reach what we call a plateau.
You stay there for a long time before you can perceive I'm learning something new.
Exactly. And there's a couple of reasons why you feel like you're in a plateau. So a plateau is the mountain that is flat.
Okay.
You climb the mountain, you think you reach to the top, and then you see a valley. But you're in a mountain and you start walking the valley, you're a plateau. Now, when am I going to reach the top? And you see the top over there, but you need to walk all these valley again to get to that top. The first reason is because you are comfortable with the language.
Okay,
In a
you,
B2,
you think you know everything
exactly.
at this point.
In a B2, you're like, man, I can listen to Alejo and I understand what he's saying. I mean,
I can
I'm
understand
good.
songs, movies,
Yes,
whatever.
Exactly, I'm good. So you stay there for a while.
Okay,
all right.
okay.
And in terms of the descriptions of the Common European Framework, like there's a big gap in what you can do with the language in a B2 level and in a C1 level. What I just told you, understanding complex texts, conducting meetings, and I didn't mention one that was very important: humor.
Oh, okay. You
Understanding
understand jokes. You can
right.
make jokes.
You can make a joke in English,
and it's not like there's a priest and
no, exactly. Like knock knock, who is it? No, not like that. All right.
no, like you can understand humor, jokes,
exactly.
sarcasm.
And that is a very important point because you go and in your classroom you have a B2 group, very good students, and then you go tell a joke and everyone is like,
Yeah.
and you're laughing, cracking up, and like everyone is like,
How about bad words?
cussing words, yeah.
Because you know we know the words from the movies, the
Those-
F word and stuff.
Those you learn from A1, man.
But there are a lot that are like very advanced, and if you
Right.
understand those, maybe you're getting there.
Exactly. Yeah. Some expressions.
So people feel comfortable. So
People-
that's why
people
that's
stay
the
there.
first stone.
Yes.
Not to get the C1.
Exactly. You feel comfortable, and you kind of stop studying, and then you say, no, I'm gonna watch TV, I'm gonna listen to music, yeah. But you stop really studying the language,
Okay.
because you feel like you can communicate, understand, read and write properly. Okay. So that is the first symptom of being stuck there in that plateau.
Okay.
It's a long road, but you need to walk it. You can't just stay there. All right. You need to walk that gap, that big leap between the B2 levels or the B levels and the C levels.
So how can I walk faster on that valley to get the mountain?
That is a very good question. Okay, so couple of things in the very simple everyday situations. Get out of your comfort zone.
All right. Like
Alright.
start reading things that you're not used to.
Exactly. So if you're reading,
Stop reading the same books that
Exactly. If
you
you-
know by memory.
if you read I don't know, 50
Twilight.
Yeah, exactly, the 50 Shades of Grey, whatever,
Exactly.
and you understood it was great. No, but I mean, pick up a classic.
Okay.
All right, pick up John Steinbeck. Pick up
The Grapes of Wrath.
exactly, Irving Stone, whatever, those authors, and challenge yourself. All
Okay.
right, it's not only
Maybe you're not gonna understand, but that's good.
that is,
At that point,
that
it's
is
good.
The walk. That is the road that you need to take. You
Great.
need to walk that plateau to get to the other
Great.
side. And then
Alright.
when you pick up a text like that, you say, "Oh my God, I don't know. I don't understand anything."
And you
Of
feel
course.
bad, and then you go back
Exactly,
to
and then, like,
reading the Smurfs.
Exactly, and then and then you're like, of course, you are comfortable with what you know, but this is new for you. You need to walk that path.
Sure.
Start looking for that vocabulary.
Okay.
Start understanding that grammar structure. Start understanding that that style of writing.
That about reading, but I guess it works the same way
all
with
of the skills.
listening, for
All
example.
of the skills.
Okay, now you understand Justin Bieber songs,
Right.
You understand No Doubt, you understand I don't know, even Metallica. But
Right.
what if you understand rap songs?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. A Led Zeppelin song that are so complex,
Okay.
right? Things like that. Come out of the textbook, if you will. All right, because there's another thing, which is kind of the second point. Go to authentic material. So instead of listening to artificial things that are recorded for people that are learning English.
Okay.
Exercise 1, page number 1. Conversation, right?
That the conversation is
It's
not
so-
it's so unreal.
Exactly.
But it's good for you when you are B1. Like,
Exactly.
Hey Michael, how are you? I'm very good,
Yeah.
Sandra. What are you doing? You say like, okay, I understand.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Go exactly.
Let's go to other place.
Go to the TED Talk.
Okay.
Go to the to the podcast and listen to, Sean from England and Leslie from Alabama, and
Okay.
try to understand those accents.
Go to the BBC, which is
exactly.
always complicated to do.
And so get out of your comfort zone in all skills, all right?
That is great.
And jump there. At the beginning, you might not understand.
And you will feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Like,
you
I don't feel
challenged.
okay.
I feel challenged.
I want to go back to watch Friends because I
wanna-
understand Ross and Rachel.
I want to go back to my comfort zone.
Exactly.
And you will stay in me too forever. All right? So you need to shake up and get out there. Excuse me.
All
Get
right.
out there, okay?
You did your homework over there. I mean, you brought notes.
No,
and stuff.
man, you have me working, brother.
Wow,
so
man.
I do my research. I read
Which
my
is-
papers.
thank you
read like
very much
three
for that.
books. Read like 3 books. No, I'm kidding.
What about writing, Mauricio? What about writing? Because when we write, we kind of select the topics and the vocabulary.
Right.
There is no challenge there because
Right.
if I know, I don't know, up to 400 words, I'm gonna use those 400 words.
Right.
So, what do? Like I learn new vocabulary and try to adapt it.
Exactly. So what you do is, in terms of writing, is synonyms. All right.
Okay.
Synonym. What is a synonym of get up? I mean, there's gotta be another way to say
Get
you
up?
know, whatever. Exactly. So look for expand your vocabulary.
Great.
In order to reach it and be able to produce not only those 400 words that teachers, I write and it's the same words that I use. Yeah, because those are the ones that you know. Get out there and expand your vocabulary. You do this by reading complex text. And
I don't know if you agree with me, but it feels so good when you learn a new word and you
Right.
start using it, and you
Exactly.
feel at the beginning. Let me give you a story. I mean,
Right.
last week I was aware. I'm not gonna say learned, but I was aware of a new word that I've heard a lot of times, and when I heard it, I kind of understood, but I never took it like mine.
Right.
And it was the word leverage.
Leverage.
And
okay.
then you said like, and I'm using it for almost everything in order to remember the word.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, what you have to do.
That is exactly what you have to do to reach those C levels. All right. You get that word. I learned that word. I saw it. I read it. I heard from someone, but I need to include it in my vocabulary. It's not only that. Yeah, I know what it means. No, use it. All right.
Right.
Use it in different contexts, formal, informal. Okay. So when you do that, you're getting there. You get into that C level. You get into that C level. And let me tell you, Alejo, it takes time.
It's not like 3 months work and then you're
Exactly.
C1.
For our listeners and people that follow you, you gotta be patient in that level. It's not the same progress that you're gonna see when you jump from A1 to A2. You do that in 3 months. This plateau, this walk,
It's a long walk.
It's a long walk. This is a long walk. And if you see,
It's like Moses on the desert.
right, exactly, when they open the sea, is a long walk. And if you go online and you Google the Common European Framework and you see the charts, so A1 is here, A2, B1, B2, C1.
C1 is a big one.
It's like a jump, and then you
Exactly.
see that like this, and then it goes like that.
And you know what, Mauro? That's why I created this show, and the original idea was to bring people, experts on different topics like yourself, so people will listen and challenge themselves.
Absolutely.
You know, I've read the comments. I read all the comments on my YouTube channel, and people are telling me like I didn't understand squat of what you said, but I felt great.
Fantastic.
Because for some moments I got words. And if you do that, if you're
Right.
A1, B1, A2, B1, and you listen to the whole show,
Right.
you pick up words, and then you say like, okay, I feel like there's more for me.
Exactly.
Which is
Exactly.
the whole idea.
Exactly. You feel like you're making progress. You feel like
Exactly.
you're making progress. And like I said, that happens very easy in those basic levels. I mean, you feel like, I learned, I understood. I mean, it's
course.
great. But when you get to those C's, that's gonna take some time. It's gonna take
Wow.
more study. So don't stop studying. I mean, don't stop studying the language. Don't think you already, because you understand me, Alejo, or some people, don't think you already know everything. There's a lot. I mean, even in our native language, Spanish, and you gave a perfect example. A couple of weeks ago, you learned a new word. You're
I heard that word
Yeah,
before,
you-
but I was never like let me use that
If
word.
you-
I want to make it
exactly,
mine.
Exactly. If you hear it in a speech or whatever, you know what leverage means, but you never really make it yours. So even for us that are constantly studying and learning about teaching, there's tons of vocabulary that you find there, so you never really stop.
It works the same as in Spanish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like for example, when I heard somebody says circunspecto, and you say like, okay, I kind of understand what it
Yes.
is, but I've never used it.
¿Cómo estás de taciturno?
Exactly. So that's the thing. Like taciturno, okay, that
Right.
means something. It's an
Yes.
adjective, but when I use it correctly,
Right.
it's because I'm making progress, which is a
Exactly,
very good thing.
exactly.
Oh, Mauricio, well, first of all, thank you very much for being on the show. Those comments, I think, are very valuable for people who are watching this and they want to
Right.
go not specifically to C1, but they want to make an effort to
Absolutely.
move from B1, B2, or whatever. And I think the key point or the most important part here is just work, get it done.
Yes, you need
Have
to keep
patience.
You need to keep on moving. You can't just stay there.
Just be
That
patient
is
because
exactly.
it's gonna take a while.
And patience is a key aspect of these.
Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of teachers who are B2,
Right.
and
right.
they stay there.
They stay there. Like I said, you're in your comfort zone with the
Uh-huh.
language, and you feel like, okay, I'm good. I'm gonna stay here.
Yeah.
No, you need to keep on moving, and you need to keep on challenging yourself.
All right.
Different accents. Okay, let's listen to, Bono.
Scottish.
Bono. I mean, you listen to U2, great music, my
But
favorite
then-
band. Go listen to Bono speaking.
Just
man.
speak it, just speak in an
just speak.
interview.
Exactly, and then you're gonna find, okay, he has an Irish accent, which is different.
Yeah, it's
right?
absolutely
So you need
correct.
to get out of that comfort zone in all skills of the language. In writing, when you ask me about writing, go try to write an essay the right way an essay is written, right? Using transition words, connectors, appropriately and make it.
And don't use and
exactly.
but
and comma every no. Try to make a complex sentence in an appropriate way. There's a lot of tools nowadays that you can
like
use.
if you use nevertheless,
Exactly.
furthermore,
No.
then you're making progress.
Exactly, you're there.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
and I'm not gonna use nevertheless, but I'm gonna just throw a nonetheless over there, right? So
I know.
So
Well, Mauricio, thank you very much.
That's
I hope
a
you can make it to
pleasure,
the
man.
other show because we have a lot to do.
a
You're a
pleasure.
great teacher. It's a pleasure to work
Thank
with
you,
you,
man.
and I think this video is just great. 50 minutes probably talking about many
wow,
things.
it's been 50 minutes.
Yeah, probably. I don't know,
Yes.
whatever. But
Well,
we-
it needed to be built up to get to
It's-
that point. So we asked the listeners to be patient because we will give you the
that would be the key for C1 level. Okay,
Patient.
being patient. Mauricio, thank you very much. and I
pleasure,
hope-
man.
Look
It was
forward to
awesome,
see you
man.
again.
Absolutely, brother.
All right, and you guys remember to share this video with everybody. Subscribe, and I will be seeing you next time, guys. See you later.
Welcome to
The Alejo Show.